I mentioned earlier that how traditional bow fiddling goes across the strings. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go more at a. I'm not gonna go straight across the strings. Instead, I'm gonna go more at an oblique angle, an ecliptic. I'm calling it an ecliptic. And the plane upon which I'm going to be playing kind of extends. It's on an angle about out like this. I'm going to have my arm back here, and I'm going to move my arm up across on this two-dimensional plane that extends out this way. So you'll see my arm on the E string, my arm will be back here. On the other strings, you'll see my arm extend up. Back to this grip. Now here's another thing I'm going to do. I'm just squeezing. Now to get a note, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lift my back arm. So I'm squeezing here, and I'm just going to lift my back arm. Just squeezing the bow, put the bow on the E string, and just lift my back arm. And there's a note without any bow bouncing. It's not the cleanest note in the world, but it didn't bounce. I lifted my arm up. Now I'm going to just slightly turn my wrist in, and I'm going to collapse the arm and kind of drag the arm in. I'm just grabbing the bow, pressing down. I'm always pulling down. When I play here, the bow will never need the strings, and I'm always pulling down. Now coming back, collapse the arm. But now I'm going to go to the A string, play a note and stop. I'm going to do a long, these aren't the greatest sounding notes in the world, but what I'm showing you is that the bow doesn't bounce. I'm going to do a long stroke now. When I lift up here, I do not go perpendicular here. I go for comfort of the arm. And so the bow, a lot of times I am going for the middle part between the bridge and the end of the neck. But I'm not coming in perpendicularly very often. Normally, wherever my arm happens to be, I aim for the middle, but if my arm happens to be somewhere else, I come in at different angles of attack. I'm going to do a long note on the A string, and see how the bow kind of angles back. I need to move my arm up because on the up bow, I need to have the power to push it back in. On the E string, my arm goes back in this direction. A string, it goes out in that direction. And you can think of it, my arm is tight at all times. When I need to get to the G string, I just extend that, and since this is just an arc here, I need to pull up so that the bow is on the G string. One of the things when I played for 35 years, I would go for balance of the bow. So I wanted the bow to feel the same on every string. That was not a good idea because the balance is going to change. If I have the bow on the G string, the contact point's going to be there. If I roll it over to the E string, now the contact point's there. That's not going to be balanced. So I'm not going for balance on the bow. I'm going for, after I'm done with a note, I just roll the bow to the next string. You try to stop, and instantaneously you stop, just roll the bow to the next string and continue playing.